Hi, I'm Bob Weir with another interview of People in the News in North Texas. My guest today is Jeff Younger, a candidate for the Texas State House in District 63. Thanks for being here, Jeff.
Glad to be here.
If you would begin by giving our viewers some background information such as education, occupation, etc.
So I work in the artificial intelligence space. I'm a software engineer and an applied mathematician. I build math models mainly for financial companies these days, but my background throughout the course of my career has been in the oil and gas industry, where I built optimization systems and did solved a lot of operations research problems for offshore.
Why have you decided to run for a seat in the Texas Legislature?
I was very disappointed in the last two sessions. The Texas Legislature failed to outlaw sex change surgeries on children. And I consider this to be the most morally obvious question that's ever been posed to the legislature. And the fact that they found themselves unable to outlaw it showed me that there was a serious problem in the legislature. Also, I spent a lot of time in the last session building a coalition of senators and representatives to get these laws passed. And I really saw the ugly underbelly of how business is done there. And I intend to go up there and get the Texas Republican legislative priorities passed, come hell or high water.
All right, and I'm going to get into the sex change surgeries in a minute, but let me ask you, other than that, what are the most salient issues facing our state going forward?
I think the Texas Republican Party has it right. The most important issue facing us right now is election integrity. Okay, if we don't have free and fair elections, and we can't elect people that represent us, the people that we want to represent us, everything else doesn't matter. The second thing is the border security issue. We cannot have millions of people pouring across the Texas border and altering our society in profound ways, costing us all kinds of money, removing money from our hospitals and schools. We cannot expect that situation to produce a good outcome for our citizens, and it affects our elections as well, because many of these people are voting illegally. And the third priority that the Texas Republican Party has put is ending pediatric gender reassignment. We have to stop transgender child abuse in the state of Texas, because what's really at stake with that issue is reality. We're saying that boys are girls and girls are boys. And we would cede to the Democrat Party the ability to define reality for us, and we can't do that.
Sure, and I think everybody would agree with the border issue, of course, and a lot of people would agree with the gender reassignment as well. But, you know, Jeff, we hear so many people saying we've got to do something about the border. And that gets frustrating to people because we hear it all the time.
Yes.
Everybody's saying that. The governor is saying, you know, what can we do about the border?
Okay, so first of all, it is the federal government's responsibility to secure the border. There's no doubt about that.
Sure.
However, the Constitution had the foresight, the federal Constitution had the foresight to understand that the federal government might not react. And so under Article 1, Section 3 of the federal Constitution, when a state is under, and I'm quoting from the Constitution, an actual invasion, when people are actually crossing the border in mass numbers, an actual invasion, the state is allowed to enforce border security for itself. And the governor of the state of Texas should absolutely invoke Article 1, Section 3 and put Texas forces onto the border and to secure it. One of the big differences between me and I think some of the other candidates that are running is I'm not giving vague platitudes about this. If you go out to my website, jeffyoungerfortexas.com, you'll see that I have a detailed legislative program for every issue that we're going to talk about. On the border, I want to actually create a Texas Border Defense Unit. And I want to make it part of the Texas Military Department. A lot of people don't know that we actually have one of those. And I also want to pass a statute with a sense of the legislature attached to it, which binds courts, to say that it is absolutely an impeachable offense for the governor to fail to secure the border. Because right now the big debate that we see among the legislators is, can we impeach the governor? Can we censure the governor over this issue? We don't know that it rises to that level. We need to pass a statute with a sense of the legislature that says it is.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to call it what it is. As you said, it's an invasion.
It's an invasion.
And it's about time we said that it's an invasion. It's
Yes.
something people, they kind of say they're coming across the border, they're
Yes.
violating this or that. It's an invasion.
100%.
I mean, but we might as well...
And we have the constitutional authority to stop it ourselves because it is an actual invasion.
All right, let me move on to for example, would you like to relate your personal experiences with the attempted gender reassignment surgery of your son?
Yeah. So let me just give you a little background on that. So starting at age 2, my ex-wife started trying to transition my son to a girl at age 2. If you go out on YouTube and you just search for "Mommy says I'm a girl," the very first iPhone video I ever took went viral on YouTube. And it's my son telling me that his mom is teaching him that he's a girl. He's just passed his 3rd birthday in that video. And she's been insistently trying to get him transitioned since then. I've spent $1.2 million of total economic costs trying to stop her. The point I'm at right now is the court has essentially taken my sons from me and is allowing her to socially transition him. And the fact that the Texas Legislature failed to protect my son, I went up there and told them, I was an invited witness to the Senate, okay? I've been a premier witness in the House and the Senate. I've testified to all their committees. They all know me. And I went there and told them what the court was going to do to my son if they didn't pass this law. And sure enough, the court did exactly what I told them to do. So I've just decided that, you know what, if they're not going to do it, I'm going to go up there and make them do it. And if Dave Phelan wants to try to block that legislation again, it's not going to work this time, because I'm going to be there and I'm going to show people, and particularly in my district, exactly the shenanigans they do to look conservative and not be conservative. It's a very personal issue to me.
Well, did there come a time when you were told that there was a plan to put your son on chemical castration drugs?
You bet. So the way this happened with my son is a pediatrician. My ex-wife, her name is Ann Georgilus. She's a pediatrician in Coppell, Texas. And she took my son to another pediatrician, Dr. Pape, who is a pediatrician right here in Flower Mound. And Dr. Pape spent 15 minutes with my son and diagnosed him with gender dysphoria. He had subsequent follow-on appointments, and it's in the medical records, and we produced them at trial, and the jury saw them, and that's why I won my case. They were planning to put my son on chemical castration drugs starting at age 9, and he's 9 right now. And the court could do it tomorrow.
Jeff, one publication quoted you like this: "When I took James to school in boys' clothing, the teacher gave him a dress to wear. The school doesn't call James by his real name, they use a girl's name. They actively teach James that he is really a girl. They even make James use a girl's bathroom," unquote. Have you spoken to school administrators about that?
Oh, absolutely. The principal, so first of all, my son goes to school in Coppell. He's in Coppell Independent School District. He goes to Pinkerton Elementary, and his principal is Christy Mickelson at that school. I raised a complaint with her about this, and I said, "You're violating my parental rights, because I have not consented for my son to be cross-dressed or taught that he's a girl." So they didn't do anything about it, and so I filed a grievance. You know, you have to, one of the problems we have with schools right now, and this, I have a whole plan to address this as well on my website, jeffyoungerfortexas.com. But you have to go through this long administrative law process with the school district before you can get into a court to stop them. So it's called the grievance process. So I started a level 1 grievance, and they concluded that cross-dressing my son, teaching him that he's a girl, and having him use the bathroom with girls in the girls' restroom is not a violation of my parental rights. Then I went to a level 2 grievance, and then a higher level administrator within Coppell School District ruled the same way. So I filed a level 3 grievance and finally realized that it was just going to take me years to get through this before I can get to court.
I was also, during my research, I found that a few months ago a Dallas County District Judge granted supervised visits to you and barred James's mother from beginning hormonal suppression therapy, puberty blocks, and or gender reassignment surgery without court consent.
That's right.
All right. So if she gets the court consent, she can do it, and you don't have anything to say about it?
That's right. And I'm with Judge Mary Brown in the 301st District Court in Dallas County. She's probably the most left-wing judge in Dallas County. And I feel like she's absolutely intent on transitioning my son, no matter what I want to do. And I want to be clear about this. The reason that they gave me supervised visitation is because I'm talking to you right now. Me sitting here talking to you right now is against Texas law. I'm under a gag order from the 301st District Court, Judge Mary Brown, and I'm not allowed to talk about political topics relating to any LGBT issue. I'm not allowed to do any media interviews of any kind with anyone on any subject. And I'm not allowed to even tell you whether my son is a boy or a girl. And I have repeatedly told the court that I have absolutely no intention of following an unconstitutional order like that. It's a total violation of my rights. And I've invited the court to hold me in criminal contempt because I'm actually violating the gag order. I'm admitting it. And they won't hold me in contempt because they know they would lose in an appeals court. So what she did is she took my children away from me and gave me less visitation than drug dealers and convicted pedophiles. Well, listen, the supervised visitation is so bad, they won't let me change my son out of address when he comes to the supervised visits. They won't let me pray with my son, and they won't even let me talk about the future with my son.
Well, Jeff, obviously this is a very difficult situation for you and for many others. And so we're wrapping up now, so I just want to say thanks for being here, Jeff. And
Thank you, Bob.
And I respect your courage in running for the legislature.
Thank you.
And
I really appreciate that.
Good luck in the election.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.